Hey, it's Tony Robbins again. Welcome back to our electronic course, our e-course on geometric growth, how to make your business thrive, not just survive during turbulent times, how to really make sure you're also fulfilled in the process. Lots of promises, especially for a freedom course, but we're going to deliver on you. Listen, I wanted to give you just a brief session today to remind you that there is one chokehold on the growth of any business. And if you can own this and see this and turn it on its side, you can take any business and grow it. And that is the growth chokehold on any business is always the psychology and the skills of the leader. See, whenever you run into a problem, and businesses are creators of problems, because anytime you're trying to do something new, you're trying to do something that adds value, there's going to be something pushing against it called a problem, called a challenge. And what great business leaders do is they solve problems. And when you solve a problem, an interesting thing occurs. You know, if you got a problem, you come up with a solution, and then all the solution is a concept, it's an idea. It's a way to solve that problem. Well, once you now go to solve that problem in real life, you got to change something. Well, once you change something, does anybody know what that creates? A new problem. Right? Well, why does that matter? Well, because problems don't go away. In fact, when businesses are growing more rapidly and they're more successful, they generate more problems because when you succeed, that creates a new problem. Apple has shown this again and again. They had a problem, and their problem was they're going out of business. And then their solution was, we're going to come up with, pink computers, red, blue, purple. Remember that iMac that Steve Jobs came up with in 1997? And then all of a sudden, they implemented this change, and it created all kinds of problems for production, for manufacturing, for everything else. But then they figured out how to come up with solutions, implement those solutions, and then their new problem was they were selling more computers than they had. And that's a problem, but it's a better quality of problem, wouldn't you say? So your goal as a leader is to solve problems. And the only way you can do that is if you realize that your biggest problem, that your biggest breakthroughs come from crisis. They come from things that are overwhelming to you. And the difference between the Steve Wynn's of the world who turned around, Vegas when no one had built a new building, a new casino here, literally in 20 years, or somebody like Mark Benioff who, literally comes up with this new idea of being this idea of the cloud. And he says, no one's going to put their private information in the cloud. Are you crazy? And he built this business into a $4 billion business in less than 14 years. Guys like that, guys like, John Paul DeJoria, who took his business, he was living literally on the street, a street guy, and came up with this idea of working with this man who had this cream to put in your hair, the setting gel, Paul Mitchell Hair Care, and built that into a giant business and then grew from that and built another business, ended up taking a little company and buying it for a song that almost nobody wanted, Patron. Tequila. And he decided to go out and I'm gonna market this thing. I'm gonna make this unique. I'm gonna jack the price up 3 or 4 times the price, but I'm gonna deliver this incredible tequila in a unique way. And he goes over to France and he gets a perfume bottle. And he puts this in a perfume bottle and raises the price and builds the company into a multi-billion-dollar company. Guys and ladies that do this, a Meg Whitman, right? Somebody does something of that nature. Huffington, Ariana, dear friend of mine who builds the Huffington Post. These people, man or women, are people that solve problems. They know every single day there's going to be more problems, and their goal is to crush it, knowing the minute they crush it, a new problem will come up. So the goal is to get better quality problems. Most business people are frustrated because there's always a problem with their business. Why would you be frustrated with what's real? It's part of the game. What you instead have to do is, instead of asking things be easier, you got to get better. You got to get stronger. And the place you got to get stronger is in your psychology. You've got to learn to destroy the limitations of your mind. Because we all come up with a story when things aren't going well. And the story is about something that's not our fault, it's something outside of our control. Now, don't get me wrong. There are all kinds of things outside of control. The government can change taxes, they can change regulations, you can have competition you didn't anticipate, technology can come along and you made the TomTom GPS device, and now guess what? You can get it in your pocket on your phone for free. That kind of messes with your business plan just a little bit. That's a problem. But Garmin's still here because the leaders of Garmin start saying, hey, we have to anticipate this is coming. We don't like it. We don't spend decades coming up with this technology and now somebody gets it for free in their phone, but we're going to specialize. We're going to put a watch together so someone who plays golf can hit the ball and they know exactly how far it went. And they come up with all this innovation. The way you stay in business, the way you're part of that 0.00000 whatever 1% of businesses that are incredibly successful and profitable in the world, the way you become part of that unique group of people is you master your psychology and you make sure you get the skills that may be missing in your life. 96% of businesses fail over 10 years. 4% make it. Make it does not mean profitable. Why? The psychology of that person got overwhelmed at some point. They're like, I can't handle it. It's too expensive. It's too hard. There's not enough solutions. And because they came up with a story, we don't have the money. We don't have the resources. We don't know the right people. We don't have the context. We don't have the technology. The mistake they made is they believed that a lack of resources equals a lack of results. When you look at the greatest and most successful people in history, a guy like Sam Walton, business history at least, I mean, a guy back in 1978, 1974, I remember now. He had 78 stores in 1974. Wow. Now, in 1974, if you read the general information about him that was being passed on by brokerages, they're all saying sell because he's run out of resources. He doesn't have any more capital. There's only so many places these cheap stores really work, mostly in the South. That was the belief of Wall Street. What they undervalued was this man's ability to be resourceful, his ability to inspire people around him who work for him to get up at 4 in the morning and drive 100 miles to another area, buy this product incredibly cheap, bring it back so they had it in their store and they can make their customers crazy with the best offerings that existed. Today, Walmart is almost, what, $500 billion? What is the number of gross revenue they do today? I think they've got, 5,000, 6,000 stores? I'm probably off, but some insane number. Back in 1974, Kmart dominated, Sears dominated. Tell me what's happening today. The combination of those stores, Kmart went bankrupt, and Sears is a little speck compared to this company called Walmart. What was that? That was the psychology of the leader. You want things to get better, you've got to get better. If you want your company stronger, you got to get stronger. You want things to change, you got to change. If you do that, you can lead your people. Whether your people is you to start out with, or you and 3 people, or you and 50,000 employees, doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying is true. So I'm only speaking what you know is right to remind you that that's going to be your edge. 80% of success in life is psychology. 20% is mechanics. Now don't get me wrong. Sometimes businesses fail and the owner has a great psychology, but they're missing the skills. Common skill they're missing, accounting. They don't have a clue what to do around money, and they don't want to. Trust me, in my businesses, most of the major wounds where my businesses, where I got hurt, where I almost went out of business, were because, I was driving along and my bookkeeper in the early days, my CFO in the later days, was telling me, oh yeah, you're doing great. And I thought I had a full tank of gas, and I thought I was going 55 miles an hour, and I was really driving 150, and I was on E. When you have the wrong information, you're going to make the wrong decisions. And in the financial area, it's easy to do when things are going well, but ironically, when you do really well or really poorly, either one, the numbers get disjointed if you don't know how to manage your bookkeeper, CFO, or accountant. You got to know. That's why in this course, we're going to give you kind of a mini introduction to it as well, because it's so important. If you're going to fly an airplane and you don't know how to read the dials, you can get by with that when it's a nice sunny day. But what happens when the big storms come? That's where people die in an airplane or a helicopter. I'm a helicopter pilot and a fixed-wing pilot, I know. So you have to have your checklist. You have to read what's going on so you can navigate. That's one of the skills people are missing. What's another skill? Picking the right people. Gosh, how many times have you picked somebody that is absolutely wrong for your business? And they always say it's not the person you hire that hurts you, it's the person you failed to, fire. Right? Sometimes you get somebody that's just so wrong because you just didn't know how to evaluate. It's a huge skill, an important skill. If you're going to build your business, you can have a terrible product, terrible service, great people, you guys can figure it out. You got a great product, great service, terrible people, you're going to find a way to screw it up. Is it true? So that's a skill set, and you got to get good at it as an owner. And what's another skill set? Marketing. If you don't know how to market, we've talked about it several times here in this course. I mean, marketing isn't everything, but it's pretty darn close. Now, if you have the best marketing in the world and not the best product, you can make money for a while. If you got the best product, best innovative, best added value, and the best marketing, now you got a company like Apple. Now you start to dominate everything in your field. Your field could be small or big, doesn't matter. You'll dominate when you combine those two incredibly well. So in this session, I just want to bring to your attention and maybe have you think about, where am I weak, where am I strong? Is my psychology as strong as it can be? And what do I need to do to develop more mental, emotional muscle? Do I need to feed my mind every day and be doing something where I'm reading a biography or I'm feeding some information in my mind about those who've broken through, and I can relive their experience. I can read their words. I can listen to it on an audio or something so that I'm at my edge. I'm at my best positive edge. Do I need to put myself in a mentoring group or a coaching group? Or I'm being coached so I stay on target in that way. Do I need to get some friends together that are more successful than I am in some way? Because if I get people at the same level you are, you're not going to get added value. They might be good friends, but they're not good mentors. Do I need to hire a coach? What am I going to do to get my psychology? Am I going to go work out every day just so I get that physical edge in my body so my mind has that edge too? So that I can translate that to my business. Man or woman, doesn't matter. When you work out, there's going to be a mental strength that comes with physical strength. And by the way, fear is physical, right? So is strength, so is pride, so is determination. And if you develop just a couple of little rituals, you can change it. So what do you do to strengthen your psychology? And then what skills might you be missing? And by the way, that's why businesses fail. Someone who's totally passionate, they care, they work their tail off, they don't know the numbers, they're screwed. They don't know marketing, it's over. It's only a matter of time. They don't know how to manage people or pick people, it's over. I could come up with a half dozen other skills. That's why business is complex. But if you want to immerse yourself, get yourself in a real business school, whether it be with me or someone else, you got to put yourself in a place where you go master those skills or do it on your own, but you got to have a system for doing it because otherwise it'll bite you. You can build something that's going really well for a while, till the numbers bite you, to the people side bites you, to the marketing side bites you. You got to be able to have those skill sets. If you do, you're going to win. You're going to win consistently and you're going to add value. So here's what I thought I'd do at the end of this for you. Two things. One, if you want to stop here, because I do things longer very often, and most people on video, on the web, they're just grazing. And if you're grazing, I understand. But I found in my life that rarely does a dabbler succeed. It's someone who's committed to mastery. Somebody who says, you know what, I'm going to sit and go deep with this and figure out what to do with this rather than go, yeah, that makes sense, or that guy's an idiot. Anybody can do that. Anybody can criticize and anybody can just go on to the next thing. Give yourself a gift and just stop for a moment and say, what are the skill sets that I have been missing in the past that have kept me from getting to the next level of my business? Is it marketing? Is it innovation skills? Is it finding the right people? Is it knowing the numbers and really knowing what to cut, what to add, and how I can maximize my cash flow? Because very often you can come to the end of your year and have a nice profit, but you have no cash. And if you haven't experienced that, I hope you don't, but it's going to happen if you don't have those skill sets. You might say, well, Tony, I'm just going to hire that. Listen, I have a company that's one of the oldest companies in the accounting business in all of Australia. Been around literally for almost 150 years. I'm partners with them, and we go in and we provide virtual CFO services to companies. So for a small fee, we can literally come in and help them turn things around. But I even tell our clients in that area, you've got to get geared up. We'll coach you, we'll support you, but I got to teach you some things so you can manage anybody. If we're gone, you can still run your business. What skills do you need to put some focus on, and when are you going to do it, and how are you going to do it? Come up with a plan, not just I need to get this. When, and if you did, how much value would it be to your business to master that area, whatever it is? And then what are you going to do to increase your psychology? Come up with a little game plan with maximum of 3 steps. 3 things you're going to do, and make one of them easy to do right away. Someone you're going to call, a meeting you're going to set up, a class you're going to enroll in, whatever is going to work for you to get you to go to that next level right now. And then if you'd like to go a little further with me, I'm going to show you a quick little video that'll give you a tool to help you change your psychology, or maybe a member of your teams if they're starting to run into limits. It's a real simple tool. It has 4 questions to it. And I'm going to demonstrate it with you with a person that has a business. And here's the 2-second version before you turn it on if you choose to. This is somebody who came to one of my business seminars, and you got in my room a billionaire, like a guy like Tony Tan, who's on the cover this week of Fortune magazine, Fortune magazine on the Asian cover, built his business from one ice cream parlor to this business that's larger than McDonald's in the Philippines and now growing into China, right? $3.5 billion business. Amazing guy, dear friend of mine. So he's in the room, and then you got somebody like this young man who works for his father. I say works for his father, he's a partner in the business. He didn't get in the business because he wanted to be in the business, he was born into the business. And you'll hear him talk about all the limitations. You'll hear him say why the business can't grow because there's not enough cash flow, because when they grow, there isn't cash flow. What I'm good at working with people is helping them to get past the limiting story and get to the truth. But me doing that's one thing. Me showing you how to go back and do that for yourself or a member of your team might be even more helpful. So he's a young man, and you can see very quickly where the limits are, but you'll also watch and see when he gets it, how fast it is, and how it changes his entire company, and how it also brings together a family by eliminating some frustration or resentment might be building up when you feel like no matter what you do, you have to do something that's not going to win. He now knows he can win. So if you want, stick around and watch this little segment just from this little piece. Notice the 4 questions, write them down. Try them with yourself when you're running into a limit. It'll help you to get out of that limit really fast. You might want to try them with somebody else in a really warm and connected and respectful way. And then maybe answer these questions. What has been the chokehold of my business? Where in my psychology? What are 3 things I'm going to do to make my psychology stronger? what skills are missing, what 3 steps am I going to take immediately moving forward. That's our class for today. I hope you find it helpful. I hope it's added some value to your life. Stay tuned if you want to watch this video. Meanwhile, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Live strong, live with passion, love your customers, love your clients, love your business. See you soon.
We've grown 50%, but we are finding that as you grow, cash flow is a problem.
As you grow, cash flow becomes a problem. Now, when people say things, here's what we want to train ourselves to do. This is a new question we want to ask whenever you hear something that's a limit in yourself or anyone on your team. The question you want to ask is it possible to be in that business and grow without a cash flow problem?
What's the number one obstacle business owners face in growing their company, and how do you solve it? My name is Mark Pasha. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Robbins Mononis Coach Training. And in the next 6 minutes, we're going to see Tony Robbins helping a business owner named Shane to break through the limiting factor that was stopping his business growth. We're going to start with Shane standing up to ask a question at Tony's live seminar called Business Mastery. And we'll see that within one short conversation, Shane's business obstacle was turned around. Let's go.
My name is Shane Knight, and I'm in the fire and water damage restoration business. My dad started it, and I joined him about 3 years ago. And we've grown 50%, but we are finding that as you grow, cash flow is a problem. And so we're here to figure out how to grow another 100% this year.
So I hear you're in the fire and water restoration business, and he said, as you grow, cash flow becomes a problem. Now, when people say things, here's what we want to train ourselves to do. This is a new question we want to ask whenever you hear something that's a limit in yourself or anyone on your team. The question you want to ask is that really true? Because so much of what we accept is controlling and limiting us. Because as the business grows, then cash flow becomes a problem. Is that really true? Is it possible to be in that business and grow without a cash flow problem? One of the first things we want to uncover is what is the chokehold on any business? It's always the owner's what? Psychology or skills. First challenge is he already believes there's a limitation to the business, so there is. Now, by the way, there might be in his current structure, but there's no limitation to their growth. There's limitation because he's bought into it. You want to ask yourself, when someone says a limitation, a limiting belief, is that true? And then your brains will immediately say, of course it's true. You could say, really? You have all the information to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you keep growing, that you'll have less cash. Do you have all the information to know for sure that that's true?
No.
No. Then it's not true. How do you feel, Shane, when you believe the thought that the more we grow, the less money we're going to have?
It's frustrating because you put so much work into it.
Yes. And when you feel that frustration, what else do you feel? What do you start to believe?
Stressed out.
Stress out? What else?
And you feel like, why are you putting all this time and effort into it?
Do you all hear that? You feel stressed out? If he believes that the more we grow, the less cash we have, then it gets him frustrated. He feels a bit overwhelmed. He starts to stress out. He starts to think, why do I even put my energy into that? What will that do? It's going to kill the energy that would make this gladiator strong enough to win anything. Can he afford to have this drained out of him? Yes or no? In a competitive world we're in, yes or no? Pretty soon he's going to lose the driving force that makes him successful and makes his family successful. And why would I want to put more into something that's only going to include more failure? Ultimately, what do you start thinking about the business when you believe that? What do you start thinking about the business? Tell me the truth.
You start thinking about other businesses you could do.
That's right. Which, by the way, that might be useful. If it's really true, when we investigate thoroughly, that there's no way to grow this business profitably for things that are outside our control, then he might need to investigate other businesses. Are we supportive of that, yes or no? But only after we first investigate, is this a psychological or a skill limitation as opposed to an environmental one? So if that thought didn't exist, that growing equals no cash and no profit, you would feel what?
Empowered.
Yes. By the way, how many can hear the difference in his voice right now? Say aye. And in that empowered state, what would you go do? Tell me what you'd go do.
Specifically?
Yeah. Tell me 3 things you go back and do that you know would grow the business and help its profitability.
I would go sell the big insurance companies that I'm been afraid of selling because I didn't think we could handle it.
Ah, interesting. And what would be the advantage in that?
Well, it's much better to have one large corporate customer than chasing 10, 12 dozen different sources of referrals.
And what if you had 5 quality large customers, not just one, so you were never dependent upon somebody that might then take away your whole business? Or 6?
Then we would be 5 or 6 times larger.
Yes. More to manage or less to manage for you in terms of that client-based management?
Depends whether or not I change my style.
Give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen, give him a hand. So what's the second thing you do?
I have an elite high-end brand I want to create, and I think that would be a great opportunity to grow.
Tell me the third thing.
I'd hire someone to do most of what I do during the day today.
And what would you pay him?
As much as it took.
That's right. What do you think it would take to have somebody really impeccable to do the stuff you do during the day today?
80 or 90,000 a year.
That's right. So how much business how many clients or accounts would you have to get to pay for that person so you'd have freedom to do the more strategic things that really matter?
300 grand a year, which is a third of a giant client.
So a third. So you could go get one client and be free forever, and that's all it would take.
That's right.
This is what I love about you guys. Every person in this room has already got the answers they need. The problem is you've got some unconscious, invisible barriers you don't even know are there. You got the answers or you can find them. He knows exactly what to do to grow this business. We transform this, you can create freedom. We transform this, you're going to own your pride at another level. You transform this business, you're going to have your economics transform, which will give you other resources to give, to share, to enjoy, to explore, to discover, to make a difference with, to create new things with. The whole game of business, it's a spiritual game. You know what it's about? Taking the invisible thought or desire or idea you have and turning that into reality. Give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen.
So you can see a short conversation took Shane from feeling it was impossible to grow without losing cash flow to having a solid way to grow his business by 500%. So how did we get there? Tony showed Shane how to make 3 big moves. So let's break it down and see how it works. The first move is find the unspoken assumptions. If a business owner is feeling disempowered, you can bet that there's an unspoken assumption they're accepting without knowing it. And this unspoken assumption is limiting their growth. Here's the thing. As a business owner, your job is to break down the limitations holding you back. So the question to ask yourself is, what am I accepting about my business that's controlling and limiting me? When you find that limit, you can work with it. Here's what Tony told Shane.
He already believes there's a limitation to the business, so there is. Now, by the way, there might be in his current structure, but there's no limitation to their growth. There's limitation because he's bought into it. You want to ask yourself, when someone says a limitation, a limiting belief, is that true?
Next move, challenge the unspoken assumption. Henry Ford said, if you think you can do a thing or you think you can't do a thing, you're right. Whatever you believe, you make it true. Shane's belief that business growth equals negative cash flow had probably cost him a year of growth at that point. So Tony challenged Shane's unspoken assumption.
Of all the information to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you keep growing, that you'll have less cash. Do you have all the information to know for sure that that's true?
The bottom line is, if you haven't examined a business limitation in complete detail, you have no way of knowing whether or not it's true. Instead of getting into the nitty-gritty and solving the problem and breaking through, you start believing that the problem is necessary, and then it becomes your life. Like Shane, who believed that we can't grow because growth equals negative cash flow. If you believe something like that, your business growth is basically on hold. The other reason why you're not solving the problem is that you don't have the right skill set. Shane doesn't understand the cash flow enough to solve the problem. He's missing that skill set. So what he needs to do is get help from someone who does know how to solve that problem. Soon after this conversation, Tony instructed Shane to get a CFO service, a Chief Financial Officer, to really investigate the cash flow so that it could be solved. And when Shane got to work on this cash flow problem, he discovered the problem wasn't growth. The problem was that he had the wrong person handling the finances. That's a big discovery. Move number 3, break through the limiting emotion. When Shane first mentioned the cash flow problem, you could see from his body language and his voice that he's developed an emotional hesitation about it, a fear. I mean, does he look energetic and strong here, or does he look shy and kind of embarrassed? And that's not a judgment, that's just a pattern. We all have it to some degree. For Shane, this is his particular personal emotional limit that's stopping him, so that needs to change. Tony asked Shane this question.
How do you feel, Shane, when you believe the thought that the more we grow, the less money we're going to have?
Stressed out.
Stress out? What else?
And you feel like, why are you putting all this time and effort into it?
Did you hear that? Shane's assumption that growth equals negative cash flow, that thought stresses him to the point that he's starting to opt out of his own business. You can't lead a team when you're in that state. He wants to grow, but he feels somehow the business can't. Can he grow his business when he's not fully committed to it? I doubt it. You see, the problem isn't the business. The problem is that he's accepted the unspoken assumptions. If Shane could unload this helplessness, what kind of energy would be freed up? Tony asked Shane.
So if that thought didn't exist, that growing equals no cash and no profit, you would feel what?
Empowered.
Yes. By the way, how many can hear the difference in his voice right now? Say I. And in that empowered state, what would you go do? Tell me what you'd go do.
So this is a great question to ask anyone who's been emotionally stuck. If that thought didn't exist in you, how would you feel? And what are 3 things you'd go and do? The odds are the owner knows what the business needs, except they've been bogged down by unspoken assumptions, disempowering emotions, and the bad performance that comes with it. When Tony asked this question, Shane knew exactly what to say.
I would go sell the big insurance companies that I'm been afraid of selling because I didn't think we could handle it.
More to manage or less to manage for you in terms of that client-based management?
Depends whether or not I change my style.
Give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen, give him a hand.
Now, this is what a business owner looks like when they've challenged their assumptions and dropped their emotional baggage. New ideas for growth are right there under the surface, and instead of saying that he can't handle it, Shane sees that he can make it happen.
I'd hire someone to do the most of what I do during the day today.
And what would you pay him?
As much as it took.
That's right. What do you think it would take to have somebody really impeccable to do the stuff you do during the day today?
80 or 90,000 a year.
That's right. So how much business how many clients or accounts would you have to get to pay for that person so you'd have freedom to do the more strategic things that really matter?
300 grand a year, which is a third of a giant client.
So a third. So you could go get one client and be free forever, and that's all it would take.
That's right.
In just a few minutes, Shane shared 2 ideas that will build his business to the legacy point. He can serve the large corporate clients who will provide much more income and free him up from a lot of marketing logistics. And he can use the proceeds of one of those clients to replace himself as the operator. This is the path of leverage in a business. He'll have even more energy and focus to work strategically to take the business to the next level. Now look at his body language. This is an owner with a plan for the future he wants, and who now has the emotional energy to carry it out. So the next time you hear someone tell you their limitations, take a second and watch their body language. A skillful coach can take someone from disempowered to full strength within a short conversation. So remember the 3 big moves. 1, find the unspoken assumption. 2, challenge that assumption. And 3, break through the limiting emotion. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you can use this to create positive results in your life as well as those around you. This is Mark Pescia signing off. Talk to you soon.